So now let's create a project. Start a new Android Studio project. Specify the project name. Let's take my. I'm creating a project. I'm creating called Context. Context test is a project name. I'm creating a project. I'm creating context test is a project name. Now we are developing an application by using content provider. We are reading the list of contacts we are reading by using the content provider. Okay. So here first in the activity XML file. So here first we'll create a UI component called ListView component. We'll create, because if you want to present the data in this format, you can create either a ListView component you can create, or you can create a recycler view component you can create. You can create either ListView or recycler view. Okay, I'm using ListView component. I'm using because it's not a custom adapter. In case of custom adapter, then we can go for recycler view. So here I want to present the list of contacts I want to present. So for presenting the data, it's providing an adapter called simple cursor adapter. Okay. So here in the activity XML file, here we'll create a UI component called ListView component. We'll create here. I created what? A ListView component I created here. Create the ListView component. Next. So it is generated ID generated called ListView. So get this ListView component into our activity class. Get the ListView component into activity class. So let's create the object for this activity class. Let's create an object for this activity class. Let's take, we create ListView component we created. Let's create the object for this ListView component. Let's create the variable ListView. So we are getting the ListView component. We are getting into activity class. We are getting. Getting the ListView component into activity class. We are getting. Next, what is the first one? First, we had to get the content resolver object. We had to get. How to get the content resolver object? Just use this class called content resolver is a class. Content resolver is a class. Let's create the object for this content resolver class. We'll create the object. There is a method called get content resolver is a method. First, we have to get the object for content resolver. Get content resolver is a method to get the object for which class? Content resolver class. Content resolver class. This resolver object contains a method called query is a method. This content resolver object contains a method called what? Query is a method. Okay. So query is a method. So we have to pass a lot of parameters. We have to pass. If you see here, URI, projection, selection, string selection, args, string order, like it's taking a lot of parameters. Let's count the number of parameters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total 5 parameters I have to pass. So the first parameter is nothing but URI. Every content provider is having a URI. Every content provider is having what? A URI. we have to specify the URI of that particular content provider. For example, our requirement is we want to read the list of contacts we want to read. So if you want to read the list of contacts, the URI for contacts is nothing but contacts contract is a class. Contacts contract dot common data kinds dot phone dot content underscore URI. Okay, this is the URI to get the list of contacts. Contacts contract dot common data kinds dot phone dot content underscore URI. Okay. So if you want to get the call log information, if you want to get, so this is a URI for contacts. If you want to get the call log information, if you want to get call log dot calls dot content underscore URI. Call log dot calls dot content underscore URI to read the list of call log information. Okay. This is for contacts. Content underscore URI. Second parameter is nothing but projection. Projection I am specifying as null I am specifying. Next, selection. Projection, selection arcs. And the last parameter is nothing but sorting order. So even this sorting order also right now I am specifying as null I am specifying. Even the sorting order also I am specifying what? Null. Okay. So by using this statement, resolver.query method, by using this statement, we'll get the data from the database. Okay. So basically it's a SQL database. The contacts are stored in the SQL database. We'll get the data from the contacts database. We'll get the data. To hold the data, whatever we received from the cursor. Sorry. To hold the data, whatever we received from the SQL database, there is a class called cursor is a class. So we'll store the data into the cursor object. We'll store the data. Cursor C is equals to query is a method. So you get the data from the database. Now the entire data is available what? In a cursor object, the entire data is available. Now the data is available in a cursor object. Okay. If the data is available in a cursor, for presenting the data, Android is providing an adapter called Simple Cursor Adapter. I'll repeat once again. The data is available in a cursor. For presenting the data, Android is providing an adapter called Simple Cursor Adapter. Let's create the object for this Simple Cursor Adapter. Adapter is equals to new Simple Cursor Adapter. Total we had to specify 5 parameters. We had to specify total. We had to specify how many parameters? 5 parameters we had to specify. Context is the first parameter. And if you want to get the context object, if you are in the same activity class, use either this or get application context. I'm using this. Simple cursor adapter. Specify the context object, mean your activity object, this, comma. Second parameter is nothing but XML file. In which format you want to present the user interface to the user. In which format you want to present the UI to the user. We had to create an XML we had to create for that user interface. We had to create what? A separate XML we had to create for that user interface. So let's create a separate XML file for that individual user interface in which format you want to display. Let's create an XML file layout. Right click on this layout folder, new layout resource file. Specify the XML file name and specify the XML file name as individual view is the XML file name. India underscore view is the XML file. Here my requirement is just I want to display what is our requirement? In the individual item, you want to display the person name I want to display and I want to display the person number I want to display. Name and number, these two components I want to display. Okay. The large text, I'm taking a text view component. One is name and number. specify the text style. I'm specifying the text style as bold. Applying the color code as red color code I'm applying. Okay. So then after that, for the second text view component, okay, red color and blue color text we apply. What are the IDs for these components? Text view and text view 2 are the IDs for these two text view components. So we created XML file we created. In the individual file, in which format you want to display the individual user interface, in which format you want to present the individual user interface, we created what? An XML file we created called individual view.xml file. So first parameter is a class object in which format you want to present this user interface. Second parameter is nothing but XML file in which format you want to show that user interface. art.layout.individual view is XML. art.layout.individual view is XML. So specify in which format you want to present in the second parameter. Third parameter is nothing but cursor object. Third parameter is what? Third parameter is a cursor object. Third parameter is a cursor object. Fourth parameter is nothing but from. Fifth parameter is nothing but what? To. Fourth parameter is from. Fifth parameter is what? To. Meaning in this from you have to specify where the data is available. The from we have to specify where the data is available, and next in the to we have to specify where you want to write the data. Let's specify the from here. So from is what? It's a string array. In this string array, we'll specify the database column names we'll specify. For example, string array from is equals to new string array of. In this from what we'll define, see, database may contains n number of columns. Database may contains n number of columns, but we don't require all the columns. Context database may contains n number of columns, but we don't require all the columns. We don't require. We required only two columns. We required one is a name column information we required. Second thing is nothing but number column information we required. Only these two columns information we required. Name column information as well as number information. Name and number information we required. So if you want to get the name, if you want to get, let's use this entire URL context contract dot common data kinds dot phone dot. First thing is we require the name we required dot display name. So by using this statement, you will get the name you will get. First name you will get. Next, we require the number we require. Context contract dot common data kinds dot a phone dot number. So we require the name we required, person name we required, and we require what? The number, phone number we required. Name and number. If you want to get other information, just use the same URI. I mean up to phone, and you can specify the remain other column information you can specify. But in our example, we required only the name and number. Okay? Get the name column information and number column information. These are the column names. These are the column names, meaning internally it's a variable. Meaning internally, finally, what we are doing is we are calling on the phone number of the as a user is entered. It's a string type of data. So we required the name we required and the number we required. Okay, we specified from where you are getting the data. Next we have to specify integer array we have to specify. Next we have to specify int 2. We specified from we specified. Next we'll specify what? 2 will specify. I mean to whom you want to where you want to write the data. 2 is an integer array. 2 is what? It's a integer array. In this integer array, we'll specify the IDs of that particular UI components will specify. In this integer array, we'll specify what? The IDs of the particular UI components will specify. Let's take r dot id dot text view and r.id.textview2 is id. Okay, this is our destination. It's an integer array. That's it. So from is a string array, we specify the database column names. To is an integer array. In this integer array, we specified the IDs of that particular UI components. We created XML file, we created, right? Individual XML file. In that XML file, we created these two text view components. Meaning automatically how many contacts are there in your phone, that phone number is going to be set to text view 1 component, that number is going to be set to what? Text view 2 component it's going to set. Now set this adapter, now set this simple cursor adapter object to the list view component. List view dot, there is a method called set adapter is a method. Specify the adapter object here. Specify the adapter object. List view dot set adapter of, specify the adapter object. Okay. So now you'll get the list of contacts. For presenting that list of contacts, there is a class called a simple cursor adapter. We create an object for simple cursor adapter class. And we are setting that simple cursor adapter, we are setting to what? The list view component we are setting. But directly we cannot read the context information, we cannot read. Just had you written a 4 or 5 lines of logic written, that's it. But directly we cannot get the context, we cannot get directly from the user. First we had to get the permission we had to get from the user. See here, we had to add a permission, that is read context. If user accepted this read context, then only we can access. User's permission what? Read. Read context. Okay. So now we specified the permission also we specified. Now let's run the application and see are we able to get the list of contacts or not. List. Let's run the application. SAP is installed. I got the list of contacts I got. So I got the list of contacts I got. Okay. We are displaying that list of contacts. We are displaying on a list view component. What is the person name and the person phone number? Person name and the person phone number. Okay. So we are getting the list of contacts. We are getting the person name and the person phone number we are displaying. Okay. But if you see here, there is no any specific sorting order. There is no any specific sorting order here. So it's a in an unstructured format. It is showing the data. In an unstructured format, it is what? Showing the data. Right? There is no any specific sorting order. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult for us, if the data is in this format, it's very difficult for us to identify a particular number. Okay? For example, you want to search a contact called Manoj. It's very difficult for us to identify a particular number called Manoj here. Right? But if the data is in a some specific sorting order, then it's easy for us to identify the data, right? So So we'll see how to present the data in a sorting order. Now the problem is nothing but the data is not in a sorting order. So if you want to present the data, if you want to present in a sorting order, if you want to present the data here, resolver.query method, the last parameter is there, right? In this query method, the last parameter is nothing but the database column name. So here context contract dot common data kinds dot phone dot display underscore name. Okay. Common data kinds dot phone dot display underscore name. Let's copy the URL and specify the URL in the last parameter. This last parameter is basically it's a sorting order. What is the last parameter? Sorting order is the last parameter. Okay. But what we'll do is, what we are specifying is just we are specifying the column name. That's it. Just we are specifying what the column name we are specifying. Okay. So now let's run the application. Let's see. Just I specified the column name I specified. Automatically it will present the data in ascending order. It will present the data in ascending order. It will present. Okay. And just we are specifying by using which column you want to sort the data, by using name column you want to sort, or by using number column you want to sort. Okay. By using which column you want to sort the data, we specified here. By using the name column, we sorted the data. Let's run the application. It's loading still. See, now the priority goes to number only, right? First priority goes to number, then after that, see, we got the A character words we got, then after that B character words, C character, D character. Okay, so now the data in a sorting order. Now the data in a some specific sorting order. So it's easy for us to identify a particular number because it's in a sorting order. We can identify the particular number. You can identify. Okay. So this is content provider, and we are reading the context information. We are reading. Now I'm reading the context. Now I'm reading what? The context information I'm reading. These are all the list of contacts in my phone. For example, I want to read the call log information I want to read. I want to read the call log information, not the contacts. So if you want to read the call log information, I mean your dialed calls, missed calls, okay, uh, received calls, what is the duration of a call, what is the date of a call. If you want to get all this information, if you want to get, that is available in a call log. Okay. So now if you want to read the call log information, just we have to change only 2 or 3 parameters we have to change. That's it. So first thing is we have to specify here. Here we have to specify call log dot, the URI for call log is nothing but call log dot calls dot content underscore URI. This is a URI for reading the call log information. This is a URI for reading what? The call log information. Okay, call log means nothing but your dialed calls, received calls, missed calls, this information. We cannot present the data, we cannot present in some specific sorting order, right? If you present the data in a sorting order, then the order is going to be changed. You don't know which one is when you got that call and all. So here this has to be removed. The last parameter is there, right? The sorting order. There is no specific sorting order for the call log. No sorting order for the call logs. That's why I removed that last parameter is specified, also null is specified. And here, in place of the from contacts contract dot common data kinds dot phone, in place of this, specify call log dot calls dot catched underscore name. Because call log means nothing but you can get a call from any number. You can get a call, and it can be the number can be available in the phone or not. If the number is available in the phone, it will display the person name. Otherwise, it will not display the name. It will not display. So we specified catch in name. Okay. Call log dot calls dot number. Okay. Displaying the number we are displaying. Now let's run the application, but it's only one thing we changed. We specified the URI of the. We changed the URI of the call log dot calls dot content underscore URI. Okay, and we specified which columns data you want to access. We specified the column names we specified, and to where you want to write the data. So we get a string array we specified, and we specified to where you want to write the data. Okay. Now we are setting that adapter object. We are setting to the list view component. We are setting same. But here, in place of this read context, we are not reading the context information now. We are reading the call log information we are reading. So we have to add this permission. That is, read call log information. Read call log is a permission we have to add to read the call log information. Okay, run. So I got the output I got. Before going to see this output, first we'll see. First I'll show you my phone call log. I'll show you. My phone call log information I'll show you here. See, I got the last number last time I got the call from this number. For example, Harita Airtel. Actually, the value is not stored. It's from by using two color application. Is showing this one. Okay. So view contact. How many times it's called? Okay. See, the last call in my phone is nothing but this 47695 is the last call. Okay, then after that I got a call from Durga. I got a call from Nani Durga Soft, Durga, Lakshman. So this is my contacts history. This is what my contacts history. If you see here, if you see our application, we got the output, right? We got the output we got in our application. See, what is the first one we got? 47695. Okay. Basically, we got three times we got because they called me three times. They called me. That's why we got three times. We got that number. Then after that, it's a Durga number 97030889696 and Nani Durga Soft. Then after that, we got a number from Boppi and Jakir Durga. So here, meaning if the contacts is stored in your database, then you'll get the person name you will get. Otherwise, you will not get the name. You will not get. Only you will get the number you will get. Okay, this is the content provider. Meaning by using this content provider, we are reading the other applications data we are reading in our application. Okay, so we see in the example of contacts and call log like this. You can read the calendar information, settings, media. So this information also we can access. Okay, so any queries in this content provider? Any queries in this content provider? Okay.
Yeah, I have one query like
It's,
what is that content URI? It is inbuilt database?
it's not a database. Basically, it's a kind of path kind of thing for that database.
I didn't get you. Like
They already defined that path. They already defined for the database.
where it is located? Actually, it is in internal memory or
Internal memory,
how it is?
phone memory only. For
Okay.
example, this call log
Uh,
is a class. Okay, this call log is
okay.
a class. Just click on this call log. You'll get the call log class. It will open. This call log class contains directly. If you are using in dot means that it's a calls is another. Let's see here in call log. Calls is a inner class. Calls is what? It's a inner class. contains a recent calls. Okay, this class contains a another static variable called content underscore URI. If you click on this content URI, if you click, see here internally it is accessing that one, that mean that call log information, calls information is accessing content. Otherwise, if you don't want to call like this directly, what you will do is directly specify this one URI dot parse of, directly let's specify this object directly here. If you don't want to access in that format, if you don't want to access directly, you can specify here URI dot parse of content calls call log underscore calls. Meaning internally this path is navigating your phone contacts database. Student understand still?
Yeah, usually content in real-time applications. In what scenarios we'll be using content providers? Now you are telling that contacts will be getting into the mobile,
Yes.
but usually in real-time applications we will not use contacts, right?
Why
In apps,
contacts? See, WhatsApp is there.
like
In WhatsApp, how you are getting
yeah,
list of contacts?
only specific like if banking application is there, there we will not use contacts, right?
No,
Some
no.
applications will use contacts,
Even in the banking
but
application,
not all, right?
no, no. Even in the banking application also, for example, if you want to add any, like for example, I want to transfer the funds I want to transfer to someone. For example, okay, if you want to transfer the funds, if you want to transfer, it is going to ask you to add the contact number of that particular person. See, now we are getting the mobile to mobile transfer is there, right? If you are adding any new pay, if you are adding, there may be an option to add a contact number of that particular person. Okay, for example, my friend is there called Manoj. I want to send a money to him, but I don't know what is the phone number of him. So from where I can get the phone number, I had to close the application. I had to go for this contacts application. I had to go, and there I had to select. Best example, let's take this MobiQuick is there, right? This MobiQuick is a mobile application. It's a mobile wallet. So now here I want to transfer some money. I want to transfer. You can find option called transfer. Or you can find option called recharge. The first option is there, right? Recharge. Okay. You can recharge mobile. You can recharge by selecting this option, recharge option. See here, these are all the. I sent money to these numbers. I sent the money. For example, I want to send money to new number. For example, let's select this recharge button. If you see here, what is the first option here? Mobile number. See, for example, I want to send a mobile number to my brother. I want to send a mobile recharge. I want to send, but I don't know what is his phone number. What is his phone number? What we'll do here? Simply we'll select this contacts button. If you select this contact, if you select here, once if you select that contacts button, see it is showing all the list of contacts. It is showing here. It is showing all the list of contacts. You can select any particular contact. You can select any particular contact. You can select here, right? So once if you select any particular contact, automatically it is going to set that number to this text box. This is one real-time application. MobiClick, it's one of the popular mobile wallet in India. They have a requirement of reading the contacts or not? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, other than the retrieving the contacts, what can we do with the content providers? Like, yeah, we can retrieve the contacts through content
All those
providers,
information
but other than this, we can do anything else, or
you can receive.
only to specific contacts
Sorry.
we can use this. Like content providers only be used to retrieve contacts, or is there any other purpose for that? Like, we can do any other thing with content providers.
See contacts, call log, calendar, settings information, media information. We can access all these information. We can access by using content provider. For example, let's take there is a software called ES File Explorer. So once if you select this music, once if you select here, once if you select this music, so in your phone, where all the list, where all the, I mean, these songs are available, you'll get all the list of songs you'll get here. This is also nothing but content provider. How they are getting the list of calls? I mean, how they are getting the list of audio files? It's also nothing but content provider. It's also nothing but content provider. If you want to get the media information, the settings information, calendar information, contacts, and call log, these are
సాంగ్స్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఉంది కదండి. ఇప్పుడు దానికి రిట్రీవ్ చేసుకోవాలంటే స్పెసిఫిక్ ఇన్‌బిల్ట్ డేటాబేస్ ఉంటుందా దానికి కూడా? లేకపోతే ఎట్లా అది రిట్రీవ్ చేసుకుంటారు సాంగ్స్ ఇప్పుడు మీరు మ్యూజిక్‌లోవి?
సాంగ్స్ అంటే దాని డేటాబేస్ ఉంటుంది.
అదే ఇప్పుడు డేటాబేస్ ఉంటుంది కదా! ఇప్పుడు మామూలుగా కాంటాక్ట్స్‌కి ఇన్‌బిల్ట్ డేటాబేస్ యూజ్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఇప్పుడు మ్యూజిక్ అంటే డిఫరెంట్ యాప్ కదా! ఆ డేటాబేస్ ఎట్లా రిట్రీవ్ చేసుకుంటారు?
ఆ యాప్ కదండి. ఇంటర్నల్ గా ఈ యాప్ కూడా వాడు కూడా థర్డ్ కంటెంట్ ప్రొవైడర్ యూజ్ చేస్తుంటాడు.
ఓకే.
ఇది ఒక థర్డ్ పార్టీ యాప్. ఓకే, వీడు కూడా ఏంటంటే ఇంటర్నల్ గా కంటెంట్ ప్రొవైడర్ యూజ్ చేసి లిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆడియో ఫైల్స్ ని గెట్ చేసుకుంటున్నాడు అనమాట.
ఓకే. వాడి డేటాబేస్ నుంచి వాడు రిట్రీవ్ చేసుకొని పెట్టుకుంటున్నాడు.
వాడి డేటాబేస్ కాదు, ఫోన్ డేటాబేస్.
ఫోన్ డేటాబేస్. ఓకే.
ఇవన్నీ కూడా మీకు వీటి డేటాబేస్ కాదు, అప్లికేషన్ డేటాబేస్ కాదు, ఇది ఫోన్ డేటాబేస్.
ఓకే. ఓకే.
ఓకే,
అర్థమైంది.
మీకు ఇవి కూడా అంత ఇమేజెస్ ఉన్నాయి చూసారా, మొత్తం యూ విల్ గెట్ ఆల్ ద లిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇమేజెస్. మీ ఫోన్లో ఎన్ని ఇమేజెస్ అయితే అన్నీ వస్తాయి. సో దిస్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఆల్సో విల్ గెట్ బై యూజింగ్ కంటెంట్ ప్రొవైడర్ ఓన్లీ. అంటే ఫోన్లో ఉన్న అన్ని ఇమేజెస్, వాటి పార్ట్స్, ఓకే, అవన్నీ కూడా మీకు కంటెంట్ ప్రొవైడర్ నుంచి వస్తుంది అనమాట ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్. ఇది థర్డ్ పార్టీ అప్లికేషన్. మనకి డేటా అనేది కంటెంట్ ప్రొవైడర్ అంటే డివైస్లో ఉంటుంది, కామన్ డేటాబేస్ అది. యూ కెన్ యాక్సెస్ ఇన్ ఎనీ అప్లికేషన్, యూ కెన్ యాక్సెస్. That is a content provider. Okay, so basically in our core Android, there are four components are there. There are four components are there in the core Android. One is the activity. Activity is one first component. So first we discussed activity component. We discussed, okay, how to design the screens with different UI components. We completed the activity part. We completed buttons, that labels, image view components, some advanced UI components like recycler view, card view. So we discussed the activity part. We discussed how to design the screens with different UI components. Second component is nothing but service is a second component. Second component is what? Service. Third thing is broadcast receiver. Third thing is what? Broadcast receiver. And fourth component is nothing but content provider. Fourth component is nothing but what? Content provider. Okay. So basically, after discussing these four concepts, basically we had to navigate to the advanced Android. I mean, we had to discuss advanced Android concepts. We had to discuss, but directly we started the advanced Android. We started after that SQLite database. We started the advanced Android. We started directly. Okay. In advanced Android, basically, I mean, my course content I'm giving here. XML we discussed, JSON we discussed, and web services concept. Okay. Next, after that, Google Maps. Google Maps, Google Places, Google Cloud Messaging, Google Cloud Messaging, and we discussed it. So built-in graphic components we discussed. Built-in graphic components, one is surface view, canvas, surface holder. We discussed the graphic components we discussed. Next, graphics by using Cocoa Studio. How can we build a simple animations and graphics by using a framework called what? Cocoa Studio framework. Okay. So then after that we discuss some material design concepts, the new advanced UI components in Android called recycler view, card view. We discuss some material design concepts we discussed. Okay. Then after that, anything is remaining? Okay, so total 9 concepts, right? XML, JSON, web services, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. The last thing is nothing but retrofit. Last thing is nothing but what? Retrofit is API. Okay, so I mean in your batch, morning batch, we discussed XML part. We discussed XML part. We discussed JSON. We discussed XML. We discussed JSON. We discussed web services. Both web services we discussed. SOAP and calling the RESTful service. Cloud messaging also we discussed. Next, graphics programming as Cocoa Studio, material design. So in advanced Android, one concept is remaining. That is retrofit is a retrofit concept is remaining. Basically, this library is for making a network calls. If you want to make a network calls, so huge amount of network calls if you are making, then we use this retrofit API. Okay, we'll discuss that one. Retrofit API, meaning in the advanced Android, only one topic is remaining. That is retrofit. Okay. And here in our core Android, we discussed the three components we discussed: activity service, broadcast receiver, and content provider. But we have not discussed the services part. We have not started. Okay, so once if you discuss these two things, the service part and the retrofit, then we can close, right? So we'll discuss the service part. We'll discuss now. Let's take the service. What is in by service? Service means a long running background process. Service means a long running background process without any user interaction. A long running background process without any user interaction is called as service. A long running background process without any user interaction is called as what? Service. Meaning without any user interaction, if you want to perform any action, without any user interaction, if you want to perform anything in the background, then we'll write that logic in a service. We'll write that logic without any user interaction. If you want to perform anything in the background, we'll write that logic in a service class. We'll write that logic. Okay, so basically here in this service also, again, there are two things are there. One is the built-in services. One is what? The built-in services. Second thing is nothing but user-defined services. Meaning how can we access the built-in services? Second thing is nothing but how can we create a new service? So these two things we have to discuss in the service class. How can we access the built-in services, and how can we create your own service? How can you create your own service? We have to discuss. Let's see the first one, built-in services. Again, in this built-in services, we'll discuss built-in services. There are 6 built-in services are there. One is a notification service. Second thing is location service, notification service, location service, sensor service, location service, notification service, sensor service, Wi-Fi service, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and vibrator. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and vibrator. Okay, notification, location, sensor, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and vibrator. Okay, we already discussed the notification service. We already discussed. When you are discussing the Google Cloud Messaging concept, first I explain the notification service. I explain how can you display notification on the notification bar. Then after that we discuss the Google Cloud Messaging concept we discussed. Next, after that we discuss the location-based services we discussed. Before going to discuss the Google Maps concept, we discuss the location service we discussed. How can we capture our current location? So by using the location service, or even the day before yesterday, Sunday class also we recall once again how can we capture the latitude and longitude value before discussing the Google Places concept. So these two topics are done. So now we'll discuss these remaining built-in services. We'll discuss sensor service, Wi-Fi service, Bluetooth, and vibrator. Okay. So now today we'll discuss the remaining services. We'll discuss what is the first one? Sensor service. Before discussing this one, there is a method called Basically, there is a method called get system service is a method. Get system service is a method. We have to specify the service name. We have to specify context dot service underscore name. Method is used to get any built-in service into activity. Any built-in service into what? Into activity. Get system service context dot service underscore name. This method is used to get any built-in service into our activity class. Like it may be, I mean, just these are the major services we are going to use in our application. That's why I listed here. Apart from this, there are a lot of other built-in services also there. Okay. So get system service context dot specify the service underscore name. Basically, this method is used to get what? The built-in service into our activity class. Okay. So now let's see what is sensor service. So if you want to get the sensor service, if you want to get the sensor service, there is a method called get system service is a method. Get system service context dot sensor underscore service. Basically, this method is used to get the built-in sensor service into activity. Method is used to get what? The built-in sensor service into activity, and application framework is providing a class called application framework is providing a class called sensor manager. Application framework is providing a class called sensor manager to manage sensor service. To manage what? Sensor service. Application framework is providing a class called sensor manager to manage sensor service. Okay, so we have to create the object for sensor manager class. We have to create the object. For sensor manager, sensor manager of get system service context dot sensor underscore service. Get system service context dot sensor underscore service. Okay, so by using this statement, we'll get the built-in sensor service. We'll get into our activity class. We'll get. Okay, based on the device capability, Android supports. Based on the device capability, Android supports different types of sensors. Like one is accessory is one sensor. Accessory sensor, proximity sensor, accessory, proximity, orientation, accessory, proximity, orientation, gyroscope, and gravity. Gravity and gyroscope. So based on the device capability, Android supports different types of sensors like this accessory, proximity, orientation, gyroscope, gravity, and all. Okay. So basically all the devices will not contain, all the Android devices will not contain these sensors, but every Android device contains this accessory and proximity and orientation sensor. The very few devices, the high-end devices like Nexus or Samsung Galaxy, like the high-end devices only contains this gravity and gyroscope sensors. Let's see what exactly these sensors. What is the first one? Accelerometer sensor. Accelerometer means, like for example, accessory sensor, like in the old days, for example, if you take any game for example, let's take a best example game. Searching for the toolbox. You see in the old game, I mean old devices if you take, I mean the 2011, 10 at that time, the Nokia devices if you take particularly, you can find four buttons here in the device in the keypad. The keypad you can find, four options you can find here. If this is a keypad, okay, I mean you'll get other options, you'll get all the characters and all, and here you'll get a large button and big button you can find with these controls, right? If while you are playing any games kind of thing, if you are playing, or if you want to move the object to up, if you want to move, we'll select this up button, we'll select. If you want to move the object to right side, if you want to move, we'll select this right side button, and left button, down button. So in the Nokia games, we have these controls we have. So by using these controls, you can move an object up, down, or left or right. We can move the object. But here, and if you take the Android games, if you take the Android devices, if you take, first of all, we don't have these controls. We don't have first. We don't have these controls. We don't. First of all, we don't have a keyboard. First of all, right? Separate. We don't have a keypad. We don't have built-in screen itself. We are getting the keypad. We are getting. Now, what we are doing, for example, if you are playing any game, if you are playing, how we are moving the object to left side or right side, or up and down. Let me explain this. So I hope you can see my screen, right? If you see the device, if you take, if you want to move the player position to left, right. So for example, if you are playing any game, if you want to move the player position to right side, what we'll do? Simply we'll turn the device to this side. So player is going to move to the right side. The player will move. If you want to move the player to left side, if you want to move, what we'll select? I mean, what we'll do? Just if you turn the device to, if you tilt the device to left side, the player is going to move to the left side. So basically, these events, if you want to recognize this events, if you want to recognize devices, if you want to recognize these events, if you want to recognize, then so we use what? Accelerometer sensor we use. If you want to recognize these events, if you want to recognize, use the accelerometer sensor. Okay. So next thing is proximity. Proximity means nothing but, for example, I'm making a call to some number. I'm making a call. I'm making a call to 123 number. I'm making a call. I'm making a call to 123 number. Just I'm making a call to some number. I'm making a call. Now in a call screen, right? If any object is close to the device, see, device is off, but there is a lot of gap is there between my phone and the screen. See how much gap is there. This gap is there. If some object is close to the device, device is going to, screen is going to off. Meaning, what is this? How it is recognizing some object is close to the device. That's why closer means switch off the screen. Off the screen. So basically, what is this sensor? It's a proximity sensor. This proximity sensor will recognize this event. Will recognize some object is close to the device. That is what a proximity sensor. Okay. Next, orientation sensor will recognize whether device is in a portrait view or device is in a in which direction the device is. Device is in a portrait view or in a landscape view. To recognize these events, if you want to recognize, then we use what? That orientation sensor we use. Okay. And next thing is nothing but gravity. Gravity means nothing but it will recognize. Device is moving up, and device is moving down. These events you can recognize by using the gravity sensor. These events you can recognize by using what? Gravity sensor. Device is moving up and device is moving down. And the last thing is nothing but gyroscope. Gyroscope means it will recognize these events, it will recognize, meaning device is meaning moving in this direction, a backward direction, left, right. If you want to recognize these events, if you want to recognize, we use what? Accelerometer sensor we use. Sorry, uh, gyroscope sensor we use. Accelerometer means nothing but position is same, but these still positions we can recognize. These positions you can recognize by using accessory. Gyroscope means nothing but it can gyroscope means nothing but it can recognize these events like device is moving to front, a device is moving to left, device is moving to right. So these events you can recognize by using what? Gyroscope sensor. Okay. In very few devices you can find this gyroscope and gravity sensor, not in all the devices, but if you take any device, we are having this accessory, proximity, and orientation sensors. But basically the concept is same. Whatever it may be, any sensor, the concept is same. How we are getting the sensor events. Okay. So here, how to get the sensor service first? To get any sensor service into your to work with sensors, first of all, you have to get the sensor service. We have to get to manage the sensor service. We are having a class called sensor manager is a class. Okay. This sensor manager, when you use this sensor manager object dot, there is a method called configure the following listener to get the sensor events. Configure the following listener. Configure the following listener to get the sensor events. Configure the following listener to get what? Configure the following listener to get the sensor events. Okay. So sensor manager dot, there is a method called register listener is a method. Sensor manager dot, what is the method name? Register listener is a method. Register listener is a method. So here, first parameter we have to specify. It will take two parameters as input. It will take register listener is a method. First parameter is the object of sensor listener. First parameter is the object of what? Sensor listener. Second parameter is the sensor type. First parameter is a sensor listener. Second parameter is what? Sensor type. First parameter is a sensor listener. Second parameter is what? It's a sensor type is the second parameter. Okay. So in this sensor listener, mainly there are two methods are there in this sensor listener. One is on sensor change is one method. On sensor change is one method, which is taking the input parameter. One is the float array, it will take as the input parameter. It will take the input parameter as what? A float array. One is on sensor change. Second thing is on accuracy change. These are the two methods in the sensor listener. One is on sensor change. Second thing is what? On accuracy change, which will take the integer parameter as the input. To get the sensor events, so configure the following listener to get the sensor events. Register listener, specify the object of sensor listener, first parameter. Second parameter is what? Sensor type. For which sensor you want to get the announcement, for accelerometer sensor or proximity or for orientation. For which sensor you want to get the announcements, let's configure the sensor type in the second parameter. Okay. So we'll see an example for axillary sensor. Axillary sensor, we can recognize that X and Y positions we can recognize, and we'll show that values will show on the screen. Okay. So my requirement is I want to create an application I want to create with two text view components. With two text view components with a large text. Okay. One is for displaying the X value and one more thing is for displaying what? The Y value. One is for displaying the X value and one more thing for displaying what? The Y value. Okay. Give me a minute. So let's create a project. Let's create a project. Specify the project name. Let's check the project name is sensor test. Sensor test is a project name. Next. So take an empty activity. Finish. So first in the activity XML file, here just we'll create two text view components will create with the large text. The large text will create what? Two text view components will create with the large text. So one is for displaying the X value and one more thing for displaying what? The Y value. One is for displaying the Y value. Okay. So we created two text view components we created. Now get these two text view components into your activity class. Get the two text view components into your activity class. So text view 1 and text view 2. Let's get these two text view components into our activity class. Order editor text view. Text view 1 and text view 2. Okay. So now here for working with sensors, we have to get the first sensor service we have to get. First we have to get the sensor service. There is a method called get system service is a method. Specify the service name here. Which service you want to get into activity. Context dot sensor underscore service. Sensor service I want to get into activity class I want to get. To manage this sensor service, application framework is providing a class called sensor manager is the class. To manage this sensor service, application framework is providing a class called what? Sensor manager. Sensor manager is equals to sensor manager of get system service. Get the built-in sensor service into your activity class. This is the first one. Next, to get the sensor events, we have to configure a listener. That is sensor manager dot. There is a method called register listener is a method. Sensor manager dot register listener is a method. First parameter we had to specify the object of sensor listener class. Second parameter we had to specify the sensor type we had to specify for which sensor you want to get the announcement. What is the first parameter? Object of sensor listener. How we'll create object? By using new operator. For which class we have to create? Sensor listener class. Let's create the object for sensor listener is the first parameter. And second parameter is nothing but sensor type. Basically for this sensor listener register listener method, we have to specify what? Two parameters we have to specify. First parameter is a sensor type. First parameter is a sensor listener object. Second parameter is a sensor type, comma. Two parameters we have to pass. First parameter is what? Sensor listener. Second parameter is a sensor type. For which sensor you want to get the announcement. Okay. That sensor type is nothing but you want to get the sensor announcement for accelerometer sensor, right? Let's specify sensor manager dot sensor underscore accelerometer. Okay, like this you can find different sensors here, like sensor underscore orientation, sensor underscore proximity, sensor underscore temperature. So tricorder, magnetic, sensor light. So there are different sensor types are there. The different sensors are there. So all means concept is same. Okay, sensor it may be different sensor, but the concept is what same. Let's take this access limiter sensor. I want to get the announcement for this access limiter sensor. I want to get the announcement. The first parameter is nothing but sensor object of. We have to specify the object of sensor listener class. We have to create an object. So let's create the object of sensor listener in the first parameter. Whatever the sensor you configured here, we configured for accessory sensor, we configured accelerometer sensor, we configured. If any changes in this accelerometer sensor, it's going to call this on sensor change method is going to call. It's going to call what? On sensor change method is going to call. Whenever you get some updates in the sensor, it's going to call this on sensor change method. You see here in this on sensor change method, first parameter we are getting the sensor type we are getting. Since first parameter we are getting what? The sensor type we are getting. Second parameter is nothing but the list of values. If you get any changes in the sensor, it's going to call this on sensor change method. The second parameter is nothing but what? The float array values. This float array contains the x value and y value in case of accelerometer sensor. Meaning the 0 position contains the x value and the y position contains, the 0 value contains the x position, 1 value contains the y position. For example, text view 1 dot, there is a method called setText is a method. SetText. What is the first one? It's a x value. I want to show the x value, I want to show on the screen x value, right? Values of 0. 0 position contains the x value. And for text view 2 component, I want to set the values. I want to set text view 2 dot. What is the method name? SetText. Get the y value. Will get y value is plus values of 1. Get the x value. In 0 position, we are getting the x value, and the 1 position, we are getting the y value. We are getting. We are setting these values. We are setting to text view 1 component and text view 2 component. Okay. We don't require any permissions. We don't require for accessing these sensors. We don't require any permissions. We don't require for accessing these sensors. Now let's run the application. Like this, you can specify any sensor. You can specify. Just for demonstration, I'm taking this sensor underscore accelerometer. If you want to get for proximity, specify proximity or orientation, or gravity or gyroscope. You can specify any sensor type. You can specify. Okay. So now see here, we are getting the x value and y value we are getting, right? If you tilt the device, for example, now observe only the x value. Observe only the x value. If you tilt the device to left side, if you tilt slowly, if you see here, you get the negative values. You will get -1, -2, -3. Observe only the x values. Okay. So -1, -2, -3, -4. So if you tilt the device to left side, if you tilt the device, so you are getting the negative values. You are getting -5, -6, -7, -8. Meaning it is recognizing the device position. It is recognizing by using that accelerometer sensor. Okay. So now if you tilt the device to another side, now if you turn the device one side, you are getting the negative values. If you tilt the device to another side, if you tilt the device, you will get the positive values. You will get. If you see here, +5, +6, +7, +8, 9, 10. Okay. Meaning based on this x, we can recognize in which direction the device is available. The device is in a left side, is still the left side, or the device is still at the right side. By using this accelerometer sensor, we can recognize the device position. We can recognize. So we see in the x value. We see if you turn the device to one side, you will get the negative values. If you turn the device to another side, you will get the positive values. Based on this, we can recognize the position. We can recognize the device position. And if you tilt the device to another, now observe the y values. If you turn the device to one side, see, we're getting the positive values. We're getting +8, +9, +10. So if you tilt the device to one side, you are getting the positive values. If you tilt the device to another side, if you tilt and see here, you're getting the negative values. You are getting -6, -7, -8, -9. So you're getting what? The negative values we are getting. Okay. This is what? This is accelerometer sensor. You can see the screen, right? You can see my screen. I mean the video recording screen you can see, as well as the values also. Both is visible, right, at time? So this is the accelerometer sensor. Okay. So based on these X values and Y values, we can recognize the position we can recognize. You can recognize what? The position of the device you can recognize. Okay. This is the accelerometer sensor. Like this, you can get the events we can get for any sensor. You can get the events like proximity or orientation, gravity or gyroscope. We can get the events we can get for any sensor. We can get the events. The concept is same. First, for second parameter, we had to specify the sensor type. We had to specify if any changes in this sensor. If any changes in this sensor, it's going to call this on sensor change method is going to call. Okay, so this float array will give the values, the x value or y value. Or in case of proximity, if some object is very close to the device, it's going to give a high value. Otherwise, it will give a default value, zero value like that. Okay, this is about the sensors. While you are practicing, I given the example for accelerometer sensor. While you are practicing, try to work with the proximity sensor, or if you are using some high-end devices like Nexus and all, Nexus or Samsung, some S3 onwards, if you are using, then you can use this gyroscope sensor and gravity sensors you can use. Okay. So any queries? Any queries in these sensors? Let me know if you have any queries. No queries, sir? Okay. So let's start. I'll assign some tasks I will assign. Okay. So come up with a solution for that task. Okay. So basically, I'm planning to develop an application. I'm planning to develop. It's not, it's a real-time application. I started working on this project. Let me explain what exactly the project requirement.